For many years, older adults have been given a very simple message. If you want strong legs, focus on strong bones. Take calcium, take vitamin K2, keep your bone scans looking good. On the surface, that idea sounds reasonable. After all, bones are what hold us up. Yet I often hear the same quiet frustration from people in their 60s and 70s. They take vitamin K2 regularly. Their doctors tell them their bones look fine. And still, year by year, their legs feel a little less reliable. Getting up from a chair takes more effort than it used to. Stairs feel heavier, even at a normal pace. A short walk to the mailbox or through the grocery store aisle leaves the legs tired longer than expected. None of this happens suddenly, and that is what makes it easy to dismiss. After the age of 60, your legs are no longer just about how fast you walk. They quietly shape whether you stay independent. They influence whether you can move through your home with confidence or begin to rely on support without fully understanding why. Here is the question that often surprises people. If the bones are still strong, why do the legs keep weakening? This is where the common explanation starts to fall apart. Strong bones alone do not guarantee steady movement. They do not decide how smoothly you rise from a chair, how secure you feel on stairs, or how quickly your legs recover after an ordinary day. There are important pieces of the story that rarely get explained clearly, even in a medical setting. And without those pieces, many well-intentioned people focus on the wrong solution for years. If this sounds familiar, it may be worth staying with me. What we are about to look at is something most older adults were never fully told. Without realizing it, your daily life already gives you a quiet assessment of your leg strength. No scans, no lab numbers, no machines, just one ordinary movement most people perform many times a day. Think about the last time you stood up from a chair or sofa. Not in a hurry, not pushing off the armrests, simply rising to your feet. For many adults over 60, this movement begins to change subtly. Hands reach down without conscious thought. The body leans forward first, gathering momentum before the legs take over. This shift rarely feels dramatic. It happens gradually, over years, which is why it often goes unnoticed. Standing up without using your hands asks several systems to work together at the same time. The thighs and hips need enough strength to lift body weight smoothly. The body must sense where it is in space to stay steady during the rise. And the timing of the movement has to be well coordinated, so balance is maintained from start to finish. When one part of that system becomes less reliable, the body adapts quietly. The arms assist more, the motion becomes slower or segmented. What once felt automatic now requires a little planning. Many older adults assume this change is simply stiffness or age catching up. Yet this single movement often reflects much more than flexibility. It shows how well the legs generate force, how confidently the body controls balance, and how clearly movement signals are carried. Because the change is slow, it can feel normal. But normal does not always mean optimal. This is why clinicians pay close attention to how a person rises from a chair, not as a challenge, but as a window into how the legs are truly functioning in everyday life. And once you know what to observe, that window becomes very informative. The same quiet signals often appear during very ordinary movement. Nothing intense, just the kind of activity most people do every day. Think about climbing a set of stairs at a comfortable pace, not rushing, not carrying anything heavy, simply moving from one level to another. Some people notice that the legs feel unusually tired at the top. Others describe a heaviness or a slight trembling that was not there years ago. The breathing may feel a little faster, but what stands out is how quickly the legs themselves seem to give feedback. It is easy to assume this is only about getting older or about the heart and lungs working harder, yet many people with stable heart and lung function still experience this kind of leg fatigue. The difference lies in how efficiently the leg muscles are doing their work. When muscles are no longer performing as smoothly, even gentle tasks require more effort than before. Movements that once felt automatic begin to feel demanding, despite no obvious change in pace or distance. A similar pattern shows up after walking. A short walk around the block or through a store may feel fine in the moment, but later, the legs seem slow to bounce back. Instead of feeling refreshed after rest, the legs remain heavy or unsettled longer than expected. By the next morning, they may still feel less responsive. This slower recovery is another quiet clue. It suggests that the tissues involved in movement are not renewing themselves as easily as they once did. Over time, these small delays add up, even though no single day feels alarming. What makes this difficult to recognize is its silence. There is no sharp pain, no clear moment when something went wrong. Strength fades in small increments, hidden inside routine activities. And unless someone knows what to observe, it often goes unaddressed for years. Along with strength and recovery, balance is often the next change people quietly adapt to. It usually shows up in small moments, not dramatic ones. Turning a corner feels slightly less certain than before. Stepping off a curb requires a bit more attention. Walking through a dim hallway at night feels different, even though the distance is the same. Many older adults respond by widening their stance or slowing their pace. Some reach for walls or railings more often without really thinking about it. These adjustments feel practical, even sensible, so they rarely raise concern. What is often overlooked is what balance truly depends on. It is not just about strength in the legs or the condition of the bones. Balance depends on how clearly the body senses position and how smoothly movement signals travel. Every step you take begins as a message. Your brain sends instructions that guide timing, direction, and force. Those instructions allow the legs to respond quickly when the ground shifts or when you change direction. When that communication becomes less precise, the body compensates quietly. Movements become more cautious. Transitions feel less fluid. This is why many falls do not start with weakness in the bones. They begin with a moment of hesitation, a delayed response, or a loss of coordination during a simple movement. The legs may be capable of supporting weight, yet the signals guiding them arrive a fraction too late. Because this change develops gradually, it is often mistaken for normal aging, but balance is not a passive trait. It reflects how well movement is being guided and adjusted in real time. Once that guidance becomes less reliable, the risk of missteps rises, even in familiar places. Vitamin K2 has earned a great deal of attention, and for good reason. It plays a role in helping calcium settle where it belongs, particularly in bone tissue, rather than lingering in places it should not. For many older adults, that message feels reassuring, especially when bone scans remain stable over time. The misunderstanding begins when bone strength is expected to explain everything else. Bones provide structure, but they do not create movement. They do not lift you from a chair, guide your steps, or help you adjust when the ground feels uneven. Movement comes from a different set of systems working together. Muscles generate force. Tendons and ligaments transfer that force and keep joints aligned. Signals from the nervous system coordinate timing and direction so motion stays smooth. Vitamin K2 focuses on one part of this picture. It supports the framework, but it does not address the moving parts. A helpful way to think about this is through a simple image. Imagine reinforcing the walls of a house while leaving the wiring and foundation untouched. From the outside, everything may look solid. Inside, however, essential systems remain vulnerable. This is what happens when leg health is viewed only through the lens of bone strength. The structure may be intact, yet the systems responsible for motion, balance, and control quietly change with age. Many people experience this firsthand. Their bone tests look reassuring, yet walking feels more tiring. Balance feels less predictable. Recovery after activity takes longer than it once did. The issue is not that vitamin K2 has failed. It is doing exactly what it is designed to do. The problem is that it is often asked to do a job that belongs to other systems entirely. When attention stays focused on bones alone, the needs of muscle tissue, connective support, and nerve guidance remain in the background. And over time, that imbalance becomes noticeable in daily movement. That realization opens the door to a broader understanding of what the legs truly depend on. When people think about strength, they often picture muscle alone, yet much of what allows the legs to feel steady and dependable sits quietly around the muscle, not inside it. Throughout the legs, collagen forms the supportive fabric that holds movement together. It is present in the tendons that connect muscle to bone. It shapes the ligaments that guide joints so motion stays controlled. It also makes up much of the cushioning that allows knees, hips, and ankles to move comfortably day after day. Because collagen works in the background, its role is easy to overlook. A person may still have muscle mass and reasonable strength on paper, yet movement begins to feel less secure. The legs may feel weaker, not because the muscle is gone, but because the support around it has become less reliable. This is where many older adults feel confused. They stay active. They try to keep their muscles engaged, and still, everyday movement feels more fragile than it once did. Without a resilient connective framework, muscle force does not transfer as smoothly. Steps feel less confident. Joints feel more vulnerable, especially during simple actions like turning, stepping down, or rising from a low seat. This also helps explain why minor strains become more common with age. A small misstep, an awkward movement getting out of a car, a light twist while carrying groceries. None of these feel dramatic in the moment, yet the discomfort lingers. Recovery takes longer. The area feels unsettled long after the activity has passed. Many people assume this means they are simply doing too much, or that aging has caught up with them. Often, it reflects something quieter. The tissues that once absorbed everyday stress easily are no longer renewing themselves with the same ease. Collagen does not announce its decline with a single event. It fades gradually, showing up as reduced tolerance for movement rather than sudden injury. And because this process is slow, it is often missed entirely. Understanding this hidden layer of support changes how leg strength is viewed. It shifts attention from force alone to the quality of the structure that carries that force. Once the role of collagen becomes clearer, another question naturally follows. How does the body renew this supportive framework over time? Here, vitamin C quietly enters the picture, not as a quick fix and not as something dramatic, but as a steady requirement for building collagen that can actually hold up to daily use. Without enough vitamin C available, the body struggles to produce collagen that feels resilient and dependable. The structure may still be present, yet it lacks the same integrity it once had. Over months and years, that difference begins to show up in how the legs respond to ordinary movement. What many people do not realize is when much of this renewal takes place. A significant portion of tissue repair happens while you sleep. During those nighttime hours, the body shifts from movement to maintenance, quietly restoring what was worn down during the day. This timing matters because vitamin C does not stay in the body for long periods. It is water soluble, which means excess amounts move through fairly quickly. A large dose taken all at once may feel reassuring, yet it does not necessarily provide steady support across the entire day and night. For this reason, consistency often matters more than size. Smaller amounts taken at different times can help keep vitamin C available when the body is doing its repair work. This includes the hours when the legs are finally at rest and renewal is most active. Many older adults unknowingly miss this window. They take vitamin C earlier in the day, then go many hours without it while tissues are rebuilding. Over time, that gap may quietly limit how well connective support is refreshed. This approach is not about taking more, it is about aligning support with the body's natural rhythm. When nutrients are present at the right moments, the body tends to use them more efficiently. And when renewal becomes more consistent, movement often feels less fragile from day to day. Alongside muscle and connective support, there is another system quietly shaping how the legs move each day. It is the communication line between the brain and the muscles of the legs. Every step begins as a signal. The brain sends instructions that guide when a muscle activates, how strongly it responds, and how smoothly one movement flows into the next. When that communication is clear, walking feels natural and balanced, even without conscious effort. Vitamin B12 plays an important role in keeping this signaling pathway reliable. Nerve fibers are wrapped in a protective layer that allows messages to travel smoothly and efficiently. You can think of it like insulation around an electrical wire, helping signals arrive intact rather than fading along the way. When this insulation becomes less dependable, communication changes subtly. Signals may arrive a little slower or less precisely. Movements still happen, but timing feels slightly off. This often shows up first in how a person walks. Steps may become shorter or less fluid. Turning requires more attention than before, even on familiar ground. Sensations from the feet can also feel different. The surface beneath may seem less distinct. Balance adjustments that once happened automatically now require more focus. Reflexes depend on this same communication. When the message from the brain to the leg is delayed, the body responds more cautiously. That caution can be helpful in the moment, yet over time it changes how confidently a person moves. These shifts rarely appear all at once. They develop gradually and are often attributed to age or stiffness rather than communication itself. Yet the clarity of these signals plays a quiet role in how steady and controlled movement feels from one day to the next. Understanding this connection helps explain why strength alone does not always translate into confident movement. Beyond communication and coordination, the legs depend on a steady supply of oxygen to work comfortably. Every movement, even a slow walk, requires oxygen to reach muscle tissue at the right moment. Vitamin B12 plays a role in this process through its connection to red blood cells. These cells are responsible for carrying oxygen from the lungs to working muscles throughout the body. When this system functions well, muscles tend to feel responsive and able to recover after use. Some people notice something different. They walk at a familiar pace, yet the legs feel heavy sooner than expected. The heart and lungs may seem fine, but the muscles themselves fatigue more quickly. This kind of fatigue is often confusing. It does not feel dramatic, and it does not always come with pain. Instead, the legs feel drained, as though they are working harder than they should for simple tasks. Early changes related to vitamin B12 are easy to overlook. Mild tiredness in the legs, a sense that endurance has shortened, occasional sensations in the feet that come and go. Because these signs appear slowly, they are often attributed to age or reduced activity. Yet vitamin B12 levels tend to decline over many years, not weeks. This gradual shift allows subtle changes to settle in quietly. What makes this especially important is how long these early stages can last. The body adapts, movement patterns adjust, and the warning signs blend into daily routine. By the time the connection is recognized, the effects have often been present for quite some time. Awareness at this stage can make a meaningful difference in how the legs continue to respond to everyday movement. Even when nutrients are chosen thoughtfully, everyday food habits can quietly influence how the legs feel over time. These effects are rarely immediate, which is why they are often missed. One example comes from raw egg whites. Eggs are commonly associated with nourishment, yet when egg whites are consumed raw, they contain a substance that binds to biotin, a nutrient involved in muscle and nerve support. Over long periods, this binding may limit how available biotin becomes, especially in people who use raw egg whites regularly in smoothies or drinks. Another food group that deserves gentle awareness is unfermented soy. Products like soy milk, tofu, and certain protein isolates are widely used, often with the intention of eating well. In larger amounts, however, some of the compounds in these foods can interfere with how the body handles minerals that muscles and connective tissues rely on. When intake is frequent, this interference can quietly add strain rather than support. Caffeine is another familiar presence. In moderate amounts, it fits comfortably into many routines. When intake becomes excessive, though, it may contribute to fluid and mineral shifts that affect how muscles respond, particularly in the legs. The result is not sudden weakness, but a gradual change in how steady or relaxed the muscles feel. Refined sugars and foods that raise blood sugar quickly often have the most subtle effect. They are easy to overlook because the impact is delayed. Over time, repeated spikes can leave the legs feeling less resilient, especially when combined with other stressors that come with aging. The key point here is not avoidance or restriction. It is awareness. No single food undermines strength on its own, yet repeated patterns can influence how well the body maintains balance and stability. Once these quiet influences are recognized, it becomes easier to create space for the body to respond more consistently. By now, a different picture of leg strength begins to take shape, not as a single feature and not as something controlled by one nutrient or one habit. The legs work as an integrated system. Bones provide the structure that holds everything upright. Muscles create movement and allow the body to rise, step, and turn. Connective tissues guide that movement so joints stay aligned and supported. Nerve pathways coordinate timing and direction, helping motion feel steady rather than hesitant. Blood flow supplies the energy that allows all of this to happen comfortably day after day. When one part of this system is emphasized, while others are overlooked, balance is lost. Strong bones without responsive muscle feel rigid. Muscle without reliable connective support feels unstable. Clear nerve signals without adequate energy supply still leave movement feeling limited. This is why there is no single solution that works on its own. No one vitamin carries the full responsibility. No single habit replaces the need for coordination. What matters is how these systems support one another over time. When nutrients are chosen with intention, when timing aligns with the body's natural rhythms, and when daily movement is respected rather than forced, the system works more smoothly. Strength, in this sense, is not about intensity. It is about consistency and cooperation inside the body. When the pieces are considered together, movement tends to feel more reliable and less effortful. Even as the years pass, when you step back and look at the full picture, one idea becomes very clear. Strong legs are not a matter of luck. They are the result of understanding how the body works and giving each part of that system the support it quietly depends on. Bones matter, but they are only the frame. Movement, balance, and confidence come from how well muscles, connective tissue, nerves, and circulation work together over time. When those systems are nourished with the right awareness, the body often responds in steady, predictable ways. Aging does not automatically take strength away. What often makes movement feel harder is missing information or focusing on only one piece of a much larger picture. When that picture becomes clearer, choices feel less confusing and more intentional. Independence in later years is built through small, consistent decisions. How you move, what you pay attention to, how you support your body day after day. If this conversation helped you see your leg health a little differently, you're welcome to stay with us by liking and subscribing. It helps this kind of calm, practical information reach others who may be looking for it as well. You're also invited to share your experience in the comments. What changes have you noticed over the years, and what has helped you feel more steady along the way? Thank you for spending this time here. Caring for your ability to move is one way of caring for your independence as the years continue.